Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much for joining me today. Welcome to The Help. My name is Perald and I want to appreciate all of you for your support. I'm really grateful. So yeah, we're still talking about orphans. I think we should just say this is the orphan month. Yeah, so we're still talking about orphans and I'm just continuing with sharing my story with you guys. So my father died and was buried in Chewondo, Kezima Pisa. Yeah, that's where he was buried. Yeah. So what I remember, one of the things that I want to comment on was how people were addressing my father to the funeral. I think it's just a cultural thing, how you address a deceased person. So I remember being introduced to all these older women that I did not even know, and they were saying, so this is the child of Umui. And that's the whole time I was trying to figure out what do they mean when they say Umui. Who is Umui? Because when my father was alive, they used to call him by his name Jabulan. They were like, you Jabu and all that. But now he was dead and they were saying, this is the child of Umui. And I did not understand everything. And my father had 3 kids. I was the last born. The first 2 were boys and none of them was there for the funeral. So I was the only child who was there. And so I was the one who was introduced, like moved from one person to the next. So everyone, imagine someone just rocks up and they're crying and they're screaming. I don't know them. I don't even know why they're crying, but they would just call me and they say, so this is the child of Umui. And you know, after the funeral, how people eat and now they're laughing. It's like everything is over. But I've just seen a dead person. So to me, I was like, what are they really celebrating here? And why is my father called Umui? It's a cultural thing, I'm sure, just to refer to a deceased person. But I was a child and I did not understand that. I did not understand why my father's identity was already fading. It was the day he was buried, but that day I felt like people were done. Like he was gone and like they had said never to be seen again. And yeah, I had to come to terms with that. It's wrong. No child has to go through that. Maybe they did not know better, or people don't know better and they still do this in the name of culture. It's wrong. It hurts a child. It just traumatizes the child. And I also want to comment on the fact that maybe because I was not told, and so I just want to comment on that. Maybe people did not even know what to say to me. There are age-appropriate ways of addressing these issues and breaking all the details down to a 9-year-old. You can't ignore them. It's their father's funeral, it's their parent. You don't just ignore them and just say, we're going to do what adults do, decide for the child and just the course of events and sideline them. When the child is the person who spent much time with the person that you're burying, if they were to put my relatives before me and they say, see, what lessons would you maybe give to them? That one would be number 1. You don't just decide for a child and as if they are irrelevant, because trust me, after all of you are gone, they are going to feel the impact most. And I remember now people are trying to decide then, so who's going to take the child? So are they going to keep my mom within the family? Are they going to release her so that maybe she gets married again or not? And afterwards, I literally feel like the child and the mother become objects. And so and they're at the mercy of the paternal relatives. Now they have to decide, do they dispose of them, or who has the capacity to take care of them? Are they willing? Are they negotiating what happens? And it kills the child if they're going to be seeing all this play out right before their own eyes. And I also want to comment on the fact my father was a barber. Like that's where he got his money from. So there was a tree right in front of our home where we used to stay in Kulumani, yes. So there was a tree there and that's where he did most of his things. And when I remember growing up, I used to look at him and feel like, yeah, so the whole world is coming here to have their heads sorted by my father. And I felt like he really did a good job in it. He was my father. What else could I have seen? Like he was my person. I mean, I looked up to him. Food, clothes, everything that I needed in my life, it was there. I never knew lack. Actually, I remember with the kids that I used to play with, I was the one who got most things, most presents. And so everyone was like, yeah, we want to be like that child. But imagine now my father was dead and they were looking for someone to replace him. And so they asked one of my uncles, like my father's younger brother was in SA. So according to them, maybe he had the money or he had the capacity to just to accommodate me and my mother into his space. And so, yeah, and I just looked at all of it and I just felt like, what is happening here? So like, am I also supposed to then replace my father? Like, am I supposed to forget that I had a father and now he's gone and just say this is my father? Because now everyone will be like, so now this is your father. Now this is your father. Don't worry about that one. Like, now this is your father. It's wrong. You don't just wake up one day and decide now I'm changing fathers. We only have one biological. So yeah, I feel like that was wrong, and these are some of the things that happen to orphans. Maybe people don't really understand the implication of how the events unfold and what they do and what they say to these orphans. But trust me, after the whole gathering and everyone has gone back to their places, it's the child who's left with all these memories. It's the child who's left with all the voices that they just had from people. So today I just want to encourage you to say, you know what, we have to be very intentional about everything that is happening. When there's a loss, when someone dies and we're dealing with the children, we have to really be careful how we deal with these issues, and completely neglecting the children and not updating them on what's happening and maybe breaking it down in age appropriate ways can be so damaging to orphans. I mean, like, they can actually see you as a threat. They can actually look at you and see you as somebody who was like there, like you were celebrating the death of their father. That's what I felt as a child. I felt like, yeah, people like, he's gone now, yeah, let's just get this done with and go back to our places. And I was left all alone to deal with whatever I had seen, and no one was there to clarify and explain and interpret like to a little child. So I was just there and left with all that. So I just want to encourage you, let's just be careful how we deal with orphans. Like, there's a way they are seeing things, and it might not be the true reflection of what's on the ground, but we really have to be intentional to make sure that in whatever we are doing, we are not hurting them more.